No one decides to get into ticketing. I was at a conference earlier this week. A guy was saying, well, I can't believe that I have this master's degree in this and I've landed here. And it's like, well, you don't go to school to become a ticketing professional. I was working in a dinner theater. And I was doing the shows, working the ticket office, the reservation office in those days, and I would hang lights and I would sing and dance and I would schlep drinks. That's kind of how it started, is I needed a job and I was in college and I was a theater major. And so, like a lot of us, you take the job in the box office. And in those days, I'm going to date myself on this, is that I could type. And because I could type at a fairly good word per minute, I was always a good hire. And the dinner theater eventually closed. I'd gone to a going away party and a friend of mine said, oh, you used to do ticketing. Well, we're hiring down at Center Attractions, which was the Broadway company of the Denver Center. And we're doing Ovation for the first national tour. We need people. The rest is history. When I was 13, my father bought a season ticket to the Broadway shows. And I remember walking through the complex when they were building it, saying, I'm going to work here. And I desperately wanted to work there. I mean, it was, the biggest show in town, and it was huge. I mean, it was brand new. And it evolved from there. I ended up doing the group sales for Broadway for a few years, and then I did all the subscription for the Broadway side of it, and then I became the head of the centralized box office.
Our first meeting was when she was in the group sales department at the Denver Center for the Performing Arts. And Cats was on its first national tour, and I was working for a very small theater, and we decided that we were going to put our pennies together and buy group tickets to see Cats at the old auditorium theater. And she happened to be the person that I talked to, and I said, we don't have a lot of money, but we have to see Cats. And she said, I'll do my best. So we sat in the top row, the very back row of the balcony, but we were in the theater and we saw Cats. And so that's how I first met Maureen. And that's the first business dealing that I had with her.
I was very lucky at the center that I was young, and so were they. And I got to grow up with them as they grew up. And I had some wonderful mentors who helped guide me and taught me show business, and taught me show business the old way. And as show business changed and more technology came in, is that I had that wonderful base to work from.
I think that one of Maureen's greatest strengths is, I don't know that there's an industry she hasn't worked in terms of ticketing. She's worked in sports, and she's worked in theater and dance and the symphony, you name it, she's done it. And because she has a 35-year history working in live performance and live events, I think that that makes her a very, very experienced person that anyone would say, well, have you ever encountered this situation? And the chances are she's going to say, oh yes, that happened here and here's how we fixed it. Or if you're thinking about setting your system up this way, might I suggest you think about these things before you do it?
We met Maureen through the Denver Center when we were looking for a combined database for our ticketing and our development. Maureen is a can-do lady and great to work with. She delivers what she says she's going to do.
You can trust what she tells you, and as long as you give her the straight story, I think she'll give you the straight story back. I think she's a delight to work with, and she really does try to look for the common ground. If you both have certain desires and different needs, she'll try to find what's the best way to meet everybody's needs.
She's also fiercely dedicated and loyal to her clients. So once you start a relationship with her, you know that anything that happens, whether it's good or whether it's bad, she's going to be a phone call away and she'll deal with it and help you.
I hope that I'm viewed as the industry resource. Started with AudienceView 5 years ago and came on specifically on the sales team. If I was sitting in the chair buying a system today, it'd be the one that I would buy, and that's why I'm here. It empowers our clients and clients that come to us to be self-determinant, so they can drive their own revenues, they can drive their own brand, they can drive their own identity. They have a bigger voice in that industry sphere that's their voice versus having a vendor telling them how and what to do. We don't do that. And I respect that and like that a great deal. It empowers people to work independently and control their own destiny.
We had heard, that she was a great professional to work with. She was always delivering what she promised, and she was an amazing representative of AudienceView.
we needed a ticketing system that did everything we needed it to do. I knew Maureen was working for AudienceView, and so she was the first person I called to say, please will you put a proposal together, because I think we would like to go with AudienceView. And she put together a great proposal that gave us everything we needed, and she really understood as a startup operation what we would need. And given all of those things, we selected AudienceView from a number of vendors, and so she and I have continued our working relationship over the last 5 years.
INTIX swept me up, and I made some of my dearest friends and some of, absolute colleagues and mentors and collaborative people throughout my almost 3 decades of being in the organization. I made contact with Patricia Spira, who was then the CEO of INTIX, and she met me at my first conference and pulled me in. INTIX gave me a great deal by helping me know and understand, really at my gut level, that what I was doing mattered and it was important, and it wasn't just being a clerk. It was beyond that. The best customer stories that I have is when I could affect someone's change and take care of them at the window. What came to me as, the divorced father coming to the Nutcracker whose secretary had booked the seats for the wrong day. It's a sold-out matinee, little girls all dressed up, and somehow or another, how can I fix the problem for the father who is, this is their outing? And doing things like that. I tried not to be combative, and to this day that's one of those lessons that I've learned, is that why be combative when you can say yes? Why be difficult when you can affect change and just make it so? And that's what I kind of took away from it all. We work for a noble profession, and that what we do in ticketing is just as integral to the entertainment industry and what's on a stage as lighting is, as music, as direction, as sound, and none of it happens without all those pieces. Well, ticketing is just one of those pieces, and another piece in the pie that makes it all work.